joining us now. Erica Payne, founder of the Agenda Project, and Todd Schoenberger, managing director for Land Colt Trading. And Erica, I'm going to start with you on this one because we're talking about $88 million.
Right.
These two unions, who have not always gotten along very well in the sandbox, are now joining forces. Do you think that they're going to dictate what the economic message will be and thus the economy?
Absolutely not. I mean, the unions always play a role in every election. They have since they formed. But what we have is a few different dynamics in this election. One is we've got the Tea Party. The second is we've got low approval rating. And the third is we have a bad economy. And so the unions, I think, like a lot of other groups, are going to try to make the case for what sort of politicians they want in office. But they're going to be one of a lot of voices, and they're a declining voice, I think, unfortunately, for a lot of working Americans.
Well, I mean, you know, Todd, here's the thing about these two unions. It's the AFL-CIO. I mean, this is Richard Trumka, who has always kind of been that standalone horse in the race. He is actually saying that the union, a lot of union members, are not happy with the Obama administration's handling the economy, and that's why they want to get more money into the coffers for Democratic candidates.
That's right. Well, union members are just as desperate as the Democrats right now, so the two of them getting together is no surprise. And historically speaking, Democrats have always been union friendly. So obviously throwing $88 million to help these candidates to try to win. But the bottom line is that Employee Free Choice Act is the legislation that is so pro-union friendly that Obama's been talking about it, as well as the other Democrats. So the Democrats or the unions know that they need that legislation passed. And there is a solid shot that even if the Democrats lose on November 2nd, you're still going to have this pass through a lame duck session because the unions need extra members, and they obviously want to increase their dues. So no surprise here. Their unions are going to be they're going to continue to be paralyzing job growth in this country. And I'm sure Erica can agree with that statement right there.
I think Erica can.
I'd like to jump in here. I mean, the employee free trade, the card check is what they call it. Basically, there's not a single serious person in Washington who thinks there's any chance that this is going to pass. If it was going to pass, it would have passed. The Obama administration has not been strong out in favor of it, which is part of the problem that the unions have with them.
I hope you're right.
And I want to talk about job killing for a second, because I constantly hear this when I talk to business people, and I just have to tell you, you know, think whatever you want to think. I believe most politicians are bought and paid for in some way or another. But what you have to ask yourself is who is doing the buying and selling. And, you know, the oil and gas companies spent $268 million in the last 20 years trying to buy politicians, and they spent 75% of that on Republicans. And then the oil rig workers are represented largely by unions, and they contribute to Democrats.
Todd, let's get back on track here and get back on topic if we can. I mean, you mentioned the dues that these union members are paying to the AFL-CIO and the other union. I mean, at the same time, these dues are what is going to be funding these campaigns if these union members have jobs. That is the issue here, Todd. Well, let me go to Todd on this one, Erica, is jobs. They want to secure their jobs. While the private sector, we've seen nothing but losses in the private sector, non-union jobs, Todd.
That's right. And this actually explains why Obama and the rest of the Democrats want that EFCA passed, because the bottom line is they want non-union companies to be able to form unions, that maybe that's going to create jobs. Bottom line is, though, is that when you start talking about job creation in this country, the unions are great because they keep you employed. They will permanently keep you employed if you can create that union. It's the private sector, the small business owner, that doesn't want any type of legislation passed. They don't want the unions. They know unions are going to paralyze job growth in this country. And, you know, Erica, we could talk all about the money that the big oil companies are spending and all this other stuff. But let's talk about that Jones Act. You know, when we start talking about the BP oil spill, you know, when you had that happen, Obama could not look at foreign countries for help because of the Jones Act, because he was protecting the unions that are down there.
First of all, that's not true. Dive into the details of that, and that's absolutely not true. And I'll be happy to write a memo for you on exactly why it's not true. But what I want to talk about is the 11 workers who died on that rig while Tony Hayward is sailing around the world, and you want to make a value decision about who you'd rather have fighting for you on Capitol Hill. Both parties leave a lot to be desired, but who is in the pocket of these corporations worse than the other person? And that is Republicans. up and down the board, period.
Guys, hold on a second, because we're talking about the Service Employees Union, and then we're talking about the AFL-CIO.
Right,
Both
hospital aid workers who makes about $18,000 a year.
Okay,
I mean, are you kidding me?
You're jumping from well workers to nurses. Okay,
$18,000 a year, and they're had $88 million to spare.
The Republicans work for Lloyd Blankfein, who made $67 million a year the year before he broke the economy.
Hey, Erica, would you be happy if Goldman Sachs employees formed a union? I mean, would you then embrace Goldman Sachs?
They don't need to get a union. The average worker at Goldman Sachs makes $500,000 a year.
All right.
They don't need a union.
They should be making more.
You think the people who broke the economy should make more money, Todd? I think that is actually the disconnect between Democrats and Republicans.
Okay, guys, I'm so sorry. I don't want to get back to Erica.
That is the disconnect. Who do you work for?
I don't want to get into another Lloyd Blankfein bashing segment today, because we've done it for the last 3 weeks. But I do want to bring in Greg Jarrett into this discussion if we can. Because, Greg, here is the issue. Let's go back to the midterm elections. You're on the News Channel side. You've been covering the primary races we had last night. John McCain, the race up in Alaska. You know, the American worker is frustrated, but the unions are the ones that are going to be flooding millions of dollars into Democratic campaigns for November, less than 2 months away, because they feel that they've got to solidify their position.
And remember, 2 weeks ago, Congress passed and the president signed into law a $26 billion union bailout bill. It was nothing more than a big, fat, wet kiss to the unions. They will return the favor by spending an enormous amount of money in select races that they can influence in the midterm elections. Now, remember, unions are only 12% of the American worker, but because they have so much money through their dues, they have a disproportionate impact on elections.
So do you think they have a disproportionate impact on elections when the Supreme Court just passed Citizens United, which lets corporations spend unlimited amount of money on elections? Well, you really, I mean, and I'll tell you what, about a big wet kiss, I'd rather give a big wet kiss to an oil rig worker
organizations
than
that can spend
Tony
money.
Erica, let Greg respond.
They can funnel the money in large doses through means that skirt the issue of the legal issues that restrict them.
Corporations can spend unlimited amounts of money in elections. Is that or is that not correct? That is correct. That is
and so do unions.
But so
do you think that corporations have more money than unions?
Please jump in, sir.
I'm going to take Erica's side on this, because, look, where is the money coming? Where is most of the money coming from in these special interest campaigns? I mean, it's just, you're deluding yourself if you think that the unions have actually got some sort of big war chest that's going to be able to outrun what corporate America has. I'm not saying that it's good that unions can sort of try to push their interests or anything. The problem is we have a money politics-driven political system. And so inevitably, when you open the floodgates, as that Supreme Court decision did, you are going to drive both sides into this fight. The problem is the campaign financing laws have become too loose, and ultimately now we have both sides pushing money right through the door.
And Todd, here's the change, though, is that these two unions, Service Employees, AFL-CIO, these were unions that, I said this earlier, never played together in the sandbox. They have had a very strained relationship, but they are now banding together to make sure that they get these Democratic candidates through. And in particular, and they've basically said this, it's the Employee Free Choice Act. That is what they want to make sure it gets in there, that would change the way that unions work inside of corporations in this country.
That's right. Well, membership has actually gone down quite a bit for unions. So they're looking for any help that they can get as far as, one, increasing membership and obviously increasing dues. You know, they have $88 million. The purpose of the union is to get these people to go to actually go to a collective bargaining session where they can actually renegotiate salaries, make sure that they're working in clean places, obviously, and everything else that helps them live their lives. The problem is that these unions are money-making entities right now. $88 million to go out and influence an election is really going back against the logic and really the mission statement of every union that was actually created in this country.
Honey,
so now you have the small business owner. Hold on, Erica. You have the small business owners cannot take.
I mean, if you don't think
you cannot pass this legislation, it will kill job growth. It will kill job growth in this country because a small business owner can't, one, afford union wages. Number two, cannot afford going to some type of a settlement in an arbitration to have to worry about collective bargaining and worrying about his labor force going out on strike. Small businesses create 60% of the job growth in this country.
You want to, honey.
This
union workers don't work for small businesses.
Open up across the board.
Union workers don't work for small businesses.
All right, Erica, go ahead.
I mean, No, I mean, come on. You throw out the boogeyman of the small business owner. Are you kidding me? None of them are unionized. Union workers work on oil rigs where oil companies blow them up and 11 of them die. And the only reason those families have anything to live on is because those workers worked for a union. I mean, if they had not been, they would have died on that rig, and their widows and children would have been out in the cold if they did not work for a union.
Let's not debate exactly what the union is, but I want to go back to my original question with both of you, and that is it right for union dues to be supporting elections come November? Is it right when there may be other issues, rig workers that Erica's bringing up, nurses that are overworked and underpaid? I mean, maybe there are other things that these unions should be spending their money on instead of politics come this November.
It's not politics.
Absolutely
it's
agree.
Who owns
you should
the
not
lawmakers.
be
Todd, listen, you and I do agree on one thing. It is who owns the lawmakers. Is it, I won't go into Lloyd Blankfein again. I'm going to give Tony Hayward a run. Is it Tony Hayward and BP who owns the lawmakers, or is it workers who make $20 an hour? I'd rather have the workers own the lawmakers because somebody is going to own the lawmakers.
Guys, they have $88 million.
Oh, $88 million. It gets an unlimited amount of corporate money coming out of Citizens United. Are you
crazy? You're both talking over each other. I can't understand what either of you are saying anymore. And I've actually got some breaking news on BP, so I got to let you both go. Todd Schoenberger and Erica Payne, thank you very much. We're just getting some breaking news right now from BP, folks. I want to bring this to you.